The originally noisy hall immediately quietened down. Everyone turned their heads and saw a skinny middle-aged man wearing a black suit. His eyes were like lightning and he had a smile on his face. He turned his head and looked around as he yelled, "LuoFeng, Examiner Luo, where are you? Where is it? I've always wanted to meet Inspector Luo and see what kind of young hero he is." "Dad." Lei Feng walked to his father's side. "This person." It was the examiner of Jiang-Nan City's Thunder Dojo, Lei Meng. To be able to become the supervisor of a large headquarter city, Lei Meng is a famous figure amongst the advanced level wargods. In terms of strength he is even stronger than Vulture Liao. Of course it was slightly weaker than Phantom Demon Catalan. Phantom Demon Catalan, his fitness level has reached the peak of the advanced level wargod level, and he also has spiritual force. On the other hand, Lei Meng's physical fitness had reached its peak. Lei Meng is here. Things are getting interesting. I wonder how things will develop. The big shots in the hall were all interested in watching the show. They were all looking at Lei Meng and LuoFeng. Looking at the entire world, who didn't know that the Thunder Dojo and the Dojo of Limits had always been competing against each other. Other people didn't dare to mess with the Dojo of Limits, but the Thunder Dojo dared. Hong and Thunder God, on the other hand, were tacitly approving of the competition between their subordinates. LuoFeng was standing in front of the representative of China's most powerful secret department, Huashan. After hearing Examiner Lei Meng's words, LuoFeng didn't even look at him. Instead, he smiled as he looked at the representative in front of him and extended his hand. "Hello, I'm LuoFeng. I've long heard of Representative Jia's name and have always admired you. It's a pleasure to meet Representative Jia's disciple. Jiang-Nan, I'm also very happy to be able to meet a genius like Examiner Luo." Jiang-Nan's good impression of LuoFeng directly increased. One had to know that Lei Meng's sudden interruption had annoyed Jiang-Nan the most. Because just as LuoFeng was about to talk to him, Lei Meng appeared. If LuoFeng turned his head to talk to Lei Meng and treated him like air, wouldn't he, Jiang-Nan, lose face? And LuoFeng's current action was treating that Lei Meng like air as if he didn't see him. He continued to smile and chat with Jiang-Nan. Of course Jiang-Nan was happy. On the other side of the hall, Lei Meng was unhappy. Inspector, Team Leader Jiang is Counselor Jia's most powerful disciple. Chairman Zhou Jingyong realized and smiled as he introduced. He's already an advanced level wargod and is one of the strongest fighters in Huashan. Compared to Inspector Luo, there's still a gap. Jiang-Nan smiled. In terms of experience, Group Leader Jiang is much more experienced than me, smiled LuoFeng. LuoFeng gave Jiang-Nan face and Jiang-Nan gave LuoFeng face. "Excuse me," said LuoFeng. "As you wish, Inspector Luo." Jiang-Nan smiled. "Let's talk later." After chatting with Group Leader Jiang from the strongest department of the Chinese military, Huashan, LuoFeng brought Su X in and smiled as they walked towards Examiner Lei Meng. "Examiner Luo, my father specially came here to congratulate you." He came here to happily chat with Examiner Luo, but Examiner Luo, you don't seem to see my father. Lei Feng frowned and said with dissatisfaction. "This is really... Feng." Lei Meng waved his hand and stopped his son from continuing. LuoFeng sneered in his heart. If this Lei Meng wanted to stop his son, he would have done it a long time ago. When he received the Dojo of Limits World Headquarters mail regarding the responsibilities of examiners, it mentioned protecting the Dojo of Limits reputation. Especially when competing against the Thunder Dojo, they have to beat their opponents. Competing against the Thunder Dojo has already become a tradition. Since LuoFeng took over this position, he obviously can't be a pushover. "I'm really sorry. I was talking to Mr. Jiang-Nan just now. Mr. Lei Meng, you suddenly came, so I can't just leave Mr. Jiang-Nan to the side. Examiner Lei, am I right?" smiled LuoFeng. Lei Meng raised his eyebrows but didn't say anything. "I'm very happy that Examiner Lei could come." LuoFeng smiled from ear to ear. "We'll talk more later." As he said that, LuoFeng glanced at Chairman Zhou Jingyong. Zhou Jingyong nodded and walked towards the stage in front of the lobby. On the stage, Zhou Jingyong stood on the stage and looked at the important figures below. He smiled. On September 1st, our Jiangnan City's Dojo of Limits welcomed a new examiner. Who is he? He defeated Phantom Demon Catalan, Great Bear Kata, Blood Shadow Ethan, and Vulture Liao for advanced level wargods. These words made Examiner Lei Meng's face turn ugly. Even though Lei Meng is strong, he's still a bit weaker than Phantom Demon Catalan. If LuoFeng fought against Lei Meng alone, Lei Meng would lose for sure. 3 of these 4 have a black god set, yet they still lose against him. And he even received the evaluation of Invincible Wargod from the highest level of our Dojo of Limits. And he's still very young. I don't need to say it, everyone knows who he is. Let us welcome Jiangnan City's new examiner of the Dojo of Limits. Invincible Wargod Luo Feng. Chairman Zhou Jingyong's loud voice rang throughout the entire lobby. The guests below all laughed and clapped. At the same time, music started playing. As the music played, Luo Feng said something to Su Xin, who was beside him, and then smiled as he walked onto the stage. Zhou Jingyong walked down and Luo Feng walked up. Luo Feng looked at the people below. When his gaze swept past Examiner Lei Meng, his expression didn't change at all. He was still smiling. Everyone. Luo Feng looked at everyone. Jiangnan City, this is my hometown. To be able to become the examiner of Jiangnan City's Dojo of Limits after I grow up, I feel extremely honored. I can't say much about other things, but as an examiner, I will definitely fulfill my responsibilities. I definitely won't tarnish the Dojo of Limit's reputation. These words instantly caused a round of applause, especially from the Dojo of Limit's people. Lei Meng and the others just watched calmly. China is my country. If my country is in trouble, I won't just stand by and do nothing. And the war between the monsters and humanity doesn't allow me to retreat. I've already accepted General Li Da Wei's invitation. LuoFeng looked towards Commander Li Da Wei. Commander Li Da Wei also smiled as he nodded. Alright, that's all. The most important thing is for everyone to be happy tonight. Chairman Zhou, prepare the banquet, smiled LuoFeng. Many guests were having dinner together. Actually, eating wasn't real, chatting was real. Those who can come to this banquet are all important people. They rarely get to meet each other. For example, how can you meet an important member of the country's special forces just because you want to? After the banquet, many guests were eating fruits and chatting in groups of 2 or 3. Soft music resounded in the hall, and the atmosphere was very comfortable. LuoFeng was also chatting with Chief Jiang and Lu Dekai, while everyone was chatting in the hall. What? A shocked cry rang through the hall, causing everyone to stop talking. The one who yelled was actually the commander of the Southeastern Military Sector, General of the Army, Li Da Wei. Li Da Wei was on the phone. I'll be right back. Li Da Wei's expression was serious as he hung up. Commander Li, what's up? Headquarters City's Mayor Yi Zhonglian walked over. Big news, the sea monster horde has already started fighting with the Southeastern Military Sector. Li Da Wei's expression was serious. As soon as he said this, the entire hall went into an uproar. The sea monster horde is attacking inland? What level? Asked Mayor Yi. A level 1 monster horde, said Li Da Wei. Everyone in the hall was stunned. Even LuoFeng, who wasn't far away, was shocked. Keep in mind that the monster horde that killed Wargod Luo gang was only a level 3 rat horde. There was already countless rat-type monsters. Above the level 3 monster horde, there's the level 2 monster horde, level 1 monster horde, and of course, the legendary disaster level monster horde. However, the number of calamity-grade disasters that happened on Earth was extremely few. The sign of a disaster level is the participation of an emperor-level monster. Usually, there will be a catastrophic outcome. A level 1 monster horde already represents an endless monster horde. Right now, a level 1 monster horde is erupting. I have to return immediately. I hope that the wargods, if you have the power, can help me out at this critical moment. Li Da Wei looked towards everyone present. There were quite a few wargods here. How can we retreat at a time like this? The Thunder Dojo examiner, Lei Meng, said loudly. At the same time, he intentionally looked towards LuoFeng. Commander Li, let's not waste any more time. We'll leave now. LuoFeng was even more direct as he walked towards Commander Li. Especially at a time like this. Lei Meng and LuoFeng were opposing each other. With a level 1 monster horde erupting, how can the two examiners retreat? If they retreat, wouldn't they ruin the reputation of their dojo? As the supervisor, he naturally had to shoulder the responsibilities that he was supposed to shoulder. They can't let the people under their command not be able to hold their heads high. LuoFeng, be careful, Su Xian ran over. Don't worry, LuoFeng slightly smiled and pinched Su Xian's nose. Immediately, LuoFeng sat on his autojet. Lei Meng also sat on his disc-shaped fighter jet. The other wargods that wanted to participate also sat on their fighter jets. They rose into the air one by one and swiftly flew towards the southeast direction. In the disc-shaped fighter jet that Commander Li Da Wei sat on, Commander Li Da Wei and that young man were sitting on their seats. Commander, I'm afraid that some people will guess this move, laughed the young man on the side. Li Da Wei's face was serious. So what if they guess it? The sea monsters are continuously gathering. The amount of sea monsters in the Huangpu River is enough to make us tremble in fear. If we don't fight today, the monster horde will attack in 1 or 2 months. We can't wait for the monster horde to attack, right? We might as well start the battle ahead of time. If we start the battle ahead of time, the sea monsters won't be prepared enough. And with this banquet, we can get quite a few wargods to help, smiled Li Da Wei, especially LuoFeng and Lei Meng. Li Da Wei smiled, especially LuoFeng and Lei Meng. One is an invincible wargod and the other has a black god set. With the help of our army, the two of them won't be any less useful than an army of 200,000. The young man on the side nodded. Say, between LuoFeng and Lei Meng, who will kill more horde leader level sea monsters later, smiled Li Da Wei. Autojet. Number 1, follow the disc-shaped fighter jet at the front, commanded LuoFeng. LuoFeng, who was wearing a black suit, instantly started to change. It quickly shrunk and disappeared, revealing the white shirt inside. After taking off the white shirt, a black vest was revealed. Blades flew out of the vest. Hoo-hoo, they swiftly assembled and formed the soaring shuttle that looked like a plank. There's definitely an uncountable number of sea monsters this time. That golden net will probably get in the way, thought LuoFeng. He didn't bring the golden net with him. This golden net can only be used in a one-on-one battle. The black membrane covered his entire body and swiftly transformed into a battle uniform. And a black helmet even appeared on his head. Fellow wargods. A voice carried from the tactical communications watch. I am Li Da Wei, I am Li Da Wei. I will arrive at the front lines in 50 seconds. The amount of sea monsters in front is uncountable. Powerful wargods, please enter the front lines and assist the army in defending against the monster horde. Only wargods with the black god set can attempt to enter the monster horde and attack. arriving at the front lines. Following the voice from the Tactical Communications Watch, LuoFeng lightly said, "Number 1, open the hatch." Wah! The hatch opened. LuoFeng, who was wearing a black battle uniform, a helmet, and had a ghost blade on his back, stepped on the soaring shuttle and flew out. The hatch of the autojet closed once again and floated in midair. One after another, the flying saucer fighters quickly landed on the frontline base below. This frontline base was blocked by a section of the Huangpu River. This section of the river was completely blocked by a large number of rocks and reinforced concrete. Moreover, there was an extremely large small-scale steel and cement war base built on top of it. Large amounts of cold light and thick cannons extended out of the muzzles. This is a level 1 monster horde. LuoFeng stood on the soaring shuttle and looked down from almost 1,000 meters in the air. He was completely stunned. The Huangpu River is an important passageway for countless sea monsters to attack inland. In the past few decades, countless sea monsters have been attacking, causing the width and depth of the Huangpu River to be even more shocking than before the Grand Nirvana period. Who knows how many sea monsters are hiding in the vast Huangpu River? And that military base blocked the entire Huangpu River, making it impossible to pass. And at this time, rumble, as if the heavens were collapsing and the earth was splitting apart, the sound of cannon fire shook the heavens. A dense horde of water monsters that covered the sky and earth shot out of Huangpu River or crawled out quickly. Among them were fierce arthropod-type monsters, reptile-type monsters that were most familiar with land, strange coelenterate-type water monsters, echinoderm-type water monsters, and fish-type monsters that covered the sky and earth, the largest number of fish monsters. Sea monsters were more than 10 times more terrifying than land monsters. Firstly, there were too many of them. Second, its ability was incomparably strange. For example, the arthropod monsters. Just the shrimp and crab species alone, before the Grand Nirvana period, there were already thousands of shrimp and crab species discovered in the ocean. Including the unknown ones, there were probably tens of thousands of them. After the mutation, the shrimps, crabs and other monsters reached an astonishing number. Other coelenterates and echinoderms went without saying. Humans have predicted that before the Grand Nirvana period, there were over 2 million species of marine life. What about now? No one knew what would happen after the Grand Nirvana. The only thing they knew was that there were too many different kinds of terrifying monsters, just like the many island countries in the past. No country dared to look down on sea monsters. Holy! What kind of monsters are these? LuoFeng was incomparably shocked. Whoosh! LuoFeng's gaze turned cold and his skin covered his face, revealing only his eyes. After that, he stepped on the soaring shuttle and charged downwards. From high up in the sky, it looked like a dense horde. When they charged downwards, it was even more shocking. Large amounts of all kinds of fish-type monsters jumped 20 to 30 meters high from the Huangpu River. Countless fish-type monsters ferociously revealed their sharp teeth. Even reinforced concrete would be crushed by their teeth. LuoFeng, Lei Meng, please kill some Horde leader-level water monsters that have come ashore. Commander Li's voice carried from his Tactical Communications Watch. Horde leader? LuoFeng looked downwards. With a glance, he saw a sea monster that was around 15 to 16 meters long and had a huge turtle shell on its head. The huge turtle shell on its back even had protrusions that glowed with dark gold. Its head was like a dinosaur's. Its skull was hard and it even had a black horn. Its mouth was like a sawtooth. No one would doubt its power. It was moving swiftly, not daring to stop for even a second. I can't aim, it's moving too fast. On a tall building 1,000 meters away, one of the laser cannon operators said anxiously, "These Lord-class monsters are all very intelligent. After suffering a loss, they won't stop once they get on land." That's right. That's right. No matter how fast the laser cannon is, it still requires a human to press the button. With the reaction time of a human and the time it takes to press the button, there's no way to aim. Boom. Cannons with calibers over 100 millimeters crazily bombarded the front line. The distance of around 200 meters between the water and the actual base became a sea of fire. Countless sea monsters crazily charged, and the gigantic military base also crazily fired all sorts of cannons. Whoosh! A black shadow passed through the endless horde of sea monsters like lightning. Pew! The suppressive firepower that filled the area caused quite a number of large-caliber bullets to land on him. In fact, some cannonballs even came charging at him. They were controlled by an invisible force and crashed into the armor of a crab-type monster that was moving horizontally by the side. Steel shards flew everywhere, but the black figure did not slow down in the slightest. Die. 6 cold sword lights spun as they flew past the neck of the giant turtle-type monster that was moving quickly and wanting to attack the military base. Like cutting an apple, the Horde leader-level sea monster's ferocious head was directly cut open. Its huge body rushed forward for some distance, knocking away many other sea monsters, and then it stopped moving. Good. Amazing, Inspector Luo is really amazing. In the military base, many people shouted in surprise. Boom. Pooh. At this moment, a snake-like giant monster crashed into the military base. The walls of the military base shook violently. The walls that were already full of holes and cracks shook again, and a large amount of concrete and cement fell off. But at the same moment, without a sound, a dazzling white light shot out from one of the towers inside the military base. The giant Horde leader-level monster didn't even have time to dodge. It directly pierced through and burned into nothingness. Laser cannon. However, when this Horde leader-level snake-type monster crashed into the wall, it also released its most powerful electric light. A twisted electric light fiercely spread out and even went through a few cannons into the base. This horrifying electric light caused quite a few casualties in the military base. Horde leader level monsters. So many LuoFeng's gaze swept around and locked onto another Horde leader level monster. LuoFeng's body doesn't even care about cannon fire. Normal anti-material sniper rifles can only threaten a low-level commander level. And these super large caliber cannons can usually kill medium-level commanders. As for high-level commanders, it all depends on luck. As for the Horde leader level, he can only rely on the laser cannon. As for LuoFeng, the durability of the Black God set is even stronger than an Emperor-level monster. To kill a human wearing a Black God set, you usually have to rely on the shocking force of impact to shock the target to death. Just like how LuoFeng can't do anything to Li Yao. Since the Black God set can reduce 90% of the force of impact, the remaining 10% is spread throughout his entire body, allowing his entire body to receive the force. Over 90% of the laser cannons in the frontline military base are used to deal with the Horde leader level. With that kind of power, even if it hits LuoFeng, it won't hurt him. The third Horde leader level. The gigantic creature with a diameter of around 30 meters crazily waved its black tentacles in an attempt to kill LuoFeng. Against this gigantic creature that was like a small mountain, LuoFeng stepped on the Soaring Shuttle and agilely dodged the tentacle attacks. At the same time, rays of cold light flashed towards this octopus-type monster. Inside the command hall of the base, around them was a 3D hologram that simulated the battle happening in the outside world. Commander Li Da Wei had a serious expression on his face. Beside him stood other higher-ups of the military. As for the wargods, they've already gone to the front to support the army and deal with the monsters that can charge into the base. D. The alarm suddenly rang. A transparent jellyfish-type monster has entered the base. The alarm system immediately sent out a warning. At the same time, the surrounding 3D hologram displayed an image. Under the infrared scan, the transparent jellyfish with large amounts of soft tentacles entered the outermost area of the base. Luckily, there were very few soldiers in the outermost area. Squad number 3, head to H21 trap, Li Da Wei directly ordered. Suddenly, rumble. The entire base fiercely shook. Everyone in the command hall couldn't help but to sway. There's an extremely powerful water monster that's crazily smashing into our base. Someone immediately yelled. The appetizer is over. Now it's getting serious? Commander Li Da Wei's face was still expressionless as he ordered, with the base as the center, throw the napalm bombs within a radius of 1,000 meters. Yes. The order was passed down. An old man wearing a military uniform in the command hall couldn't help but to ask, Commander, isn't it a bit too early to throw the napalm bombs? Even though the sea monsters are powerful, and even if they can go ashore for a short period of time after mutating, they can easily die from dehydration after a while. The sea monsters can't leave the water. And even if the napalm bombs can't burn the sea monsters to death, they can quickly deplete the water in their bodies. So, fire is an extremely effective way to deal with the sea monsters. It's not early. Li Da Wei let out a rare smile. This time, we have the help of an Invincible Wargod. I originally thought that he didn't have a Black God set, but he actually has a Black God set. An Invincible Wargod equipped with a Black God set has a shocking effect. Connect to LuoFeng, ordered Li Da Wei. Examiner LuoFeng, please enter the water and kill the large sea monsters that are smashing into our base, Li Da Wei requested. On the 3D hologram, LuoFeng, who was wearing a black battle uniform and had just killed a horrifying noodle-like Celenterate monster, was like a bolt of lightning as he stepped on his soaring shuttle. With a whoosh, he ignored the countless sea monsters and directly charged into the vast Huangpu River. Pudong. LuoFeng charged into the waters of the Huangpu River. With his naked eye, he could only see water monsters of all shapes and sizes. His spiritual force immediately spread out and covered an area of 100 meters. Within this area of 100 meters, there were over 100 different types of fish monsters. There were also other types of shellfish monsters. There sure are a lot of them. LuoFeng felt more and more that the sea monsters were a threat to humanity. He continued to dive down. At this time, disc-shaped fighter jets flew across the sky and dropped large amounts of new napalm bombs. With the base as the center, the area was at least 1,000 meters. Both sides of the Huangpu River, as well as the surface of the Huangpu River, had been thrown with this weapon that the sea monsters hated the most. Hoo-hoo. Suddenly, the area of 1,000 meters became a sea of fire. With the bodies of the sea monsters, they weren't afraid of being roasted by fire. However, the water in their bodies was quickly evaporating. Some Celenterate-type monsters, like jellyfish, can survive on land for 2 to 3 hours after they mutate. However, once they're roasted by fire, large amounts of water will evaporate and they won't be able to last even 2 to 3 minutes. Depending on the type, the amount of time they can last under fire varies. The napalm bombs that landed on the water continued to burn. Water can't extinguish it. Mud can't extinguish it. Rolling around on the ground can't get rid of the fire. Instead, it will make the fire burn even more. In other words, even if you escape the sea of fire, you'll still be on fire. You can say that this is the most hated weapon of the sea monsters. Without a doubt. Under the sea of fire, the sea monster's strength will decrease by 70%. Even so, it will be extremely difficult for the base to defend against this wave of attacks. Huangpu River more than 50 meters deep. Over the past few decades, the sea monsters had attacked wave after wave, and the giant sea monsters had attacked the Huangpu River, causing it to be much deeper than before. It's these three big guys? Under the illumination of the flames on the surface of the river, LuoFeng, who was at the bottom of the river, could see three gigantic beings in the distance. Of these three gigantic beings, the shortest one was around 60 meters long, while the longest one was a shocking 90 meters long. If they were erected, they would be as tall as a 30-story building. What they all have in common is, they all have sharp horns. The sharp horns on their heads crazily smashed into the foundation of the base time and time again. Every time those sharp horns hit, they would pierce 7 to 8 meters deep. The entire pedestal trembled. However, the width of the horn was not enough for their huge bodies to enter. Therefore, he could only crash again and again until he had enough width to move forward a few meters. Then he would crazily crash again. Currently they were only 10 meters deep. 2 mountain-shaking whales? And a roaring sky beast? LuoFeng was shocked. The largest one was the roaring sky beast. The other 2 mountain-shaking whales were probably medium-level Horde leader-level monsters. As for that roaring sky beast, it should be a high-level monster lord. The current LuoFeng doesn't really care about high-level Horde leaders. However, this was a roaring sky beast. Even though LuoFeng doesn't know much about sea monsters, he still knows quite a bit about the extremely famous and terrifying sea monsters. The roaring sky beast is one of the most terrifying monsters in the ocean. The sky-roaring beast possesses boundless strength. Its strongest attack is the sound wave attack. Sound wave attack? LuoFeng slightly creased his eyebrows and immediately controlled the black god set to form earplugs, blocking his ears. The black helmet also formed a thick layer of protection around his ears. Let's kill the sky-roaring beast as quickly as possible, then kill the 2 mountain-shaking whales. As he stepped on the soaring shuttle, LuoFeng became a bolt of black lightning as he charged forward. Needless to say, the soaring shuttle is amazing. LuoFeng's speed increases even when he's flying in the water. No wonder it's a treasure that even Hong values so much. Ong? The gigantic roaring sky beast fiercely turned its head. Without any warning, it let out an ear-piercing sound which then turned into silence. Wong. The river water between LuoFeng and the roaring sky beast was instantly blasted open. The river water around LuoFeng completely disappeared, and the terrifying sound wave instantly hit LuoFeng. It was so fast that LuoFeng didn't even have time to dodge. This sound wave attack, which terrified countless wargods on Earth, was used on LuoFeng's body. When the sound wave passed through the special material of the black god set, it was drastically weakened. Plus, LuoFeng's ears were heavily protected, so the most obvious target of sound wave attacks, the head, easily survived this disaster. LuoFeng only had a slight headache, but nothing else happened. He couldn't help but to let out a smile. The black god set sure is powerful. It can block sharp attacks. It can greatly reduce the force of impact. It can even greatly reduce sound waves. This strange treasure that originated from archaeological ruin number 9 was indeed magical. After blocking the sound wave attack, LuoFeng directly turned into lightning and charged towards the gigantic roaring sky beast. But at this time, the river water beside LuoFeng started to shake, and formless attacks attacked LuoFeng. The 6 curved blades were like rays of moonlight as they flashed across the river 70 to 80 meters to the left. Suddenly, a painful howl rose, the river water shook, and milky white blood flowed out. Humph! A transparent jellyfish-type monster dares to ambush a spirit reader, it's looking to die. LuoFeng sneered in his heart. There are many types of jellyfish-type monsters in the sea. So far, 3 of them have been discovered that are completely transparent and can't be seen with the naked eye. Even though their attacks are different, they're still collectively known as the transparent jellyfish type. To human fighters, they are extremely threatening. You can't see them with the naked eye, but LuoFeng's spiritual force covered the area, so he saw them a long time ago. Roaring sky beast. Mountain-shaking whale. LuoFeng's eyes were like a butcher slaughtering lambs as he charged towards the 3 Horde leader-level monsters. This battle between humans and monsters was just as horrifying as before. It continued all the way until 8 AM on the second day. Even though the sea monsters didn't break through the base, a few Horde leaders still charged in alone. And large groups of sea monsters that can discharge electricity, large groups of sea monsters that can spit poison, and even bubbles that can spit out shockwaves. All sorts of strange attacks from sea monsters seeped into the base, causing quite a few human soldiers to die. In the command hall of the base, the higher-ups of the military and some of the wargods who helped out this time were all gathered here. Everyone was in a pretty good mood. Thank you everyone, we were able to successfully defend against a wave of sea monsters this time. I estimate that within half a year, the sea monsters won't launch a second wave of such a large-scale attack. Commander Li Da Wei was in an extremely good mood. Even though the losses this time weren't small, they were much lighter than before. The one who contributed the most was LuoFeng. In this wave of wargods, including the original wargods of the military, only LuoFeng and Lei Meng have black god sets. And even though Lei Meng is powerful, those sea monsters can escape if they can't beat them. Lei Meng can defeat Horde leader-level monsters, but killing them is extremely difficult. LuoFeng was different. He stood on the soaring shuttle and controlled the blades to dance in the air. Which lord could outrun the speed of the blades? All of them died. This battle. Lei Meng killed 2 Horde leader-level monsters. He also forced back quite a few at crucial moments which helped the military quite a bit. LuoFeng killed 15 Horde leader-level monsters. Fellow wargods, sell the materials from the monsters you killed to the HR Alliance, laughed an old man in the command hall. Come find me if you want to sell it to the dojo, laughed Commander Li Da Wei. Wargods disregarded their lives to fight for the military, so they usually don't ask for a fee. However, as long as the corpses of the monsters they personally killed can be found, they usually sell it to the HR Alliance. Normally they would sell to the HR Alliance. After all, the HR Alliance's asking price was the highest. The Huaxia military was very supportive of this. Because the HR Alliance is so popular in China, the country also benefits from it. This time Examiner LuoFeng earned the most. Examiner LuoFeng, you struck it rich. A group of wargods laughed as they congratulated him. Because LuoFeng was blocking at the front, none of the wargods at the front lines died. So everyone was in a good mood. Forget about the other Horde leader level monsters. I have 3 Horde leader level monsters materials. LuoFeng's large black backpack automatically opened and a large amount of monster materials fell to the ground. Even though he killed 15 of them, LuoFeng also took out the important parts from the 3 most powerful ones and put them in his backpack. He only took in 3 Horde leader level monsters, and they were all high-level Horde leader level monsters. As for the others, he'll just donate them to the country. Haha, then I'll shamelessly accept them. Li Da Wei didn't refuse. Commander Li, you're not humble at all, a powerful wargod on the side immediately laughed. Li Da Wei laughed. LuoFeng is a rich man, so why would he care about this? Out of the 15 Horde leader level monsters, the 3 most expensive ones were the ones LuoFeng took. The old man who was inspecting the 3 high-level Horde leader-level monsters couldn't help but to glare at Li Da Wei. Old Li, even though the other Horde leader-level monsters are low-level or middle-level, there are so many of them. I estimate that they add up to around 30 billion. The HR Alliance's price for a low-level Horde leader ranges from 500 million to 3 billion. A middle-level Horde leader ranges from 1.5 billion to 9 billion. Most of the 12 Horde leaders LuoFeng killed were low-level Horde leaders and a few middle-level Horde leaders, so they add up to around 30 billion. Roaring Sky Beast? 9-headed Snake Dragon? The old man was extremely shocked as he inspected the materials. The Roaring Sky Beast and the 9-headed Snake Dragon are both extremely terrifying high-level Horde leader-level monsters. They're even stronger than the Steel Armored Dragon. Since they're both in the ocean, it'll be even harder to kill them. I'll count these 2 as 20 billion and the last one as 12 billion, so it'll be 52 billion Chinese dollars in total, laughed the old man. Alright, nodded LuoFeng. LuoFeng wasn't too happy about this war. Money? After becoming an invincible wargod, money is secondary. True treasures can't be bought with money. Base. Li Da Wei personally sent LuoFeng off, and the 2 of them walked side by side outside the base. How were our losses this time? Asked LuoFeng. Around 1,000 soldiers died and close to 1,000 more are crippled, sighed Li Da Wei as he shook his head. This time is pretty good. With you here, the most threatening Horde leader-level monsters were all taken care of by you, so it'll be much easier for us to deal with them. You alone are equivalent to an army of 200,000. Just like in the past. Li Da Wei couldn't help but to shake his head. Humanity has suffered too many casualties in the war against the sea monsters. Otherwise, he wouldn't have purposely used this opportunity to gather wargods. Also, Li Da Wei shook his head as he laughed bitterly. The billions of sea monsters we killed this time is just a drop in the ocean compared to the countless monsters in the ocean. A drop in the ocean. A drop in the bucket. LuoFeng slightly nodded and sighed. No, you won't understand. Li Da Wei shook his head. Without experiencing life and death struggles, you won't be able to understand the feelings of my generation. LuoFeng froze. Li Da Wei sighed. I was born in the most beautiful time of my life. The year I was born was 1997 when Hong Kong returned to China. My family wasn't rich, but it was fairly well off. I grew up carefree. I played online games and read web novels. Every day my parents would scold me a bit and I would get really annoyed. LuoFeng looked at Li Da Wei with shock. Games, web novels? In this day and age, most students spend their free time in the dojo. Becoming a fighter is the goal of young people. Don't look at me like that. You haven't experienced those peaceful times, so you can't imagine. Li Da Wei let out a smile. His eyes had a bit of reminiscence in them. Back then we would still chat on the forums. We could have meals together and go on outings. It was truly carefree. But 2015. It started in January of 2015. We instantly fell from heaven to hell. That year I was preparing to take my college entrance exams. But there was no college entrance exams. A nightmare descended. The virus spread through the air to the entire world. Anything that needs to breathe was infected. My friends around me died one by one. My girlfriend, my basketball buddies, my neighbors, and my brothers from the online game guilds all died one by one. I almost broke down at that time. I felt like it was a nightmare. Sadly, I found out later on that it was just the beginning of the nightmare. In the second half of 2015, countless mutated monsters started attacking the cities where humans gathered. From the small skirmishes at the beginning, to the crazy war later on. We didn't care about these barbaric monsters and thought that they wouldn't be able to withstand a single hit from the humans. But we were wrong. The true disaster began. The cities were breached and humans began to flee. In the 6 years of fleeing, I brushed shoulders with the god of death time and time again. Every time I struggled, failure meant death, so I had to endure it. From a naive youth who hasn't experienced any setbacks, I became a merciless warrior. Li Da Wei's voice was low. In these 6 years I watched as my father died for me. I watched my girlfriend, who I loved while I was fleeing for my life, die in the mouths of monsters, and I could only grit my teeth and run for my life in tears. I trained hard again and again, squeezing out all the energy in my body. In the end, humans relied on laser cannons and powerful martial artists to fight against the monsters on land. And so the Grand Nirvana period ended. Humans entered the base city era. And I am joining the army. In the blink of an eye, over 30 years have passed. Li Da Wei smiled casually, but LuoFeng felt that his smile contained too much bitterness. Over the past 30-something years, the war between humans and monsters might not be as big as during the Grand Nirvana, but it has never stopped. Li Da Wei shook his head. Do you know how many people have died in the army under my command in these 30 years? LuoFeng was stunned. Waves of new people replacing the old? I can't even tell the exact number myself. Death notices were sent to their families one by one. They all died for the sake of humanity. Li Da Wei's eyes were filled with sorrow. However, I was powerless to find out. Every year, when the monsters in the ocean attack, some new types of monsters will appear. Some even more powerful monsters will appear. What does that mean? Li Da Wei stared at LuoFeng. It means that the sea monsters are constantly getting stronger. I'm scared. I'm very scared. Li Da Wei's eyes were filled with tears. Humans can't attack. The monsters can continuously mutate and get stronger in the ocean. I'm afraid that one day, humanity will be destroyed. LuoFeng's heart shook. However, if the sea monsters want to attack humanity, they have to go through the rivers and kill their way into the land. So, my entire life I'll stop them. I won't let them easily advance even an inch. The further they are, the more space the headquarters city has. Ever since I became the commander of the southeast sector, a whole 11 years, 6 months and 3 days have passed. The sea monsters haven't been able to advance a single step along the Huangpu River. LuoFeng's heart shook as he listened. He started to truly respect this elder in front of him. Because of their sacrifice, he and other young people can peacefully grow up in the headquarters city. In this life I'll fight these sea monsters with everything I have. I just want my children and grandchildren to have a future and hope, said Li Da Wei softly. There's a future and hope? Yeah. If the headquarters city is conquered, will there still be hope for your children and grandchildren? LuoFeng. Li Da Wei lightly patted LuoFeng's shoulder. In this day and age, humanity can only rely on 2 trump cards to survive. One is the high-tech laser cannon. The other is a powerful fighter like Hong. If humanity wants to survive, one is to invent a weapon that's even more powerful than the laser cannon. The other is for powerful fighters like Hong and Thunder God to appear. And even for powerful fighters that surpass Hong and Thunder God. Li Da Wei looked at LuoFeng. LuoFeng, no one taught me when I was young, so I went down the wrong path. Now that I'm an intermediate level wargod, I've reached my limit. I have no hope of improving anymore. You're different. You're not even 20 years old yet. LuoFeng, an existence surpassing the wargod level is comparable to an army of 1,000,000. And Hong and Thunder God are even more powerful and incomparably powerful. For humanity to be able to live so peacefully in headquarters cities, it's all thanks to Hong. Even Hong can negotiate with the countless monsters on land, the emperor-level monsters. So one Hong is more useful than an entire country's army. I hope that you can reach that step or even higher. As he watched LuoFeng leave on his autojet, Commander Li Da Wei's expression was complicated as he muttered, I'm already old and LuoFeng. You still have endless possibilities. The words that Li Da Wei said to LuoFeng when he sent him off on the Huangpu River made waves in LuoFeng's heart. The main reason why LuoFeng trained so hard in the past was for his parents and for his brother to stand up again. Ever since he became an invincible wargod, even though LuoFeng was still working hard, he didn't feel much pressure in his heart anymore. Enemy, Li Yao? He's long been disregarded. His family? They're doing well. Money? Money doesn't mean much to him anymore. Power and status? Even the heads of the financial groups, the military, and the big shots of the government are all extremely passionate. Dad, Mom. Mingyue sector. LuoFeng just walked into his home. You're back, I've prepared breakfast for you, Mom Chin, yelled his father who was reading a book. Your brother is running outside. After his leg healed, he likes to run, his father smiled happily. Oh yeah, little Feng, when are you planning on getting married? Your mom and I don't have any other plans right now, we just want a big grandson. LuoFeng sat in front of the dining table. As he drank the steaming hot porridge and listened to his father's nagging, he suddenly felt very happy. In that base, the soldiers fight with their lives on the line, while the residents of the headquarters city live peacefully. Perhaps this is why Commander Li Da Wei and countless soldiers are fighting with their lives on the line. Hey Wen. As he sat on the floor of the training hall, LuoFeng laughed as he held his cell phone. What, you took your girlfriend on a vacation this summer? You sure are romantic. Yup, okay, but I don't have time for a while. I still have to go out at the end of the month. I'll come find you later. Yup, that's all, bye-bye. LuoFeng's face was full of smiles. Wen's life isn't bad either. His parents' lives are also very happy, and his brother and his girlfriend are in love. LuoFeng thought back to Commander Li Da Wei's words. I just want my children and grandchildren to have a future, to have hope. A future to have hope. LuoFeng mumbled, I also want my mom and dad to enjoy their old age. I also want my brother to marry and have children, to raise his own children to adulthood. I don't want all of this to be destroyed by the monster hordes. I want my children and grandchildren to have a future, to have hope. At this moment, LuoFeng's heart was unprecedentedly resolute. I also want to pursue the limits of life and continuously surpass myself. To become a representative, to become a chairman, and even become stronger than them. To continuously surpass myself. I also want to be like Hong, to use my own strength to shock the land monster hordes. I also want my children and grandchildren to have a future, to have hope. LuoFeng's eyes were filled with determination. Work hard. Advance. Surpass. When I die and close my eyes, I don't want to regret my past lack of effort. This time's baptism made LuoFeng's faith firmer than ever. For the entire month of September, LuoFeng completely immersed himself in his blade technique, body fitness level, and celestial deity catalog training. This kind of immersion not only didn't make him feel bored, but instead made him feel joy from the bottom of his heart. His body's genes transformed and perfected. His strength improved again and again. This change in his body's quality was intoxicating. Normally, if you force yourself to train, the results will be worse. And he himself enjoyed training and fell in love with the feeling of his quality of life increasing. This caused LuoFeng's speed of improvement to be extremely shocking. On the morning of September 29th, when LuoFeng tested himself, his fist strength actually reached 258,103 kilograms, surpassing 256,000 kilograms, officially stepping into the advanced level Wargod fitness level. September 29th, around 2 p.m. He wore an SS-grade blood-red battle uniform that he bought at the best price from the Palace of Wargods and carried an SS-grade ghost blade on his back. LuoFeng's entire body was like a crystal-clear jade. He stood there like a blade that pierced through the sky, filled with endless fighting spirit. Mom, Dad, it's hard to decide how long I'll be gone this time. Luohua, take good care of Mom and Dad when I'm not home. Got it, brother? Be careful when you're outside. His parents hastily reminded him. LuoFeng slightly smiled and walked towards the autojet beside him. The hatch of the jet automatically opened. LuoFeng entered and the hatch closed. Oh. The dark blue triangular fighter quickly ascended and flew out of Jiang-Nan headquarters city's defense system area. Then it turned into a stream of light and headed towards the Dojo of Limit's world headquarters.